All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, the elder bishop, the great Millstone, who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, to the men on the highways and the byways that are pushing out this word, truth, and sincerity, and to the remnant men, women, and children of the elect. To you all, I say Shalom. My name is Ahmawan Ahyash, and I'm back with another lesson through the power and the spirit of Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. I wanted to talk a little bit about the outage, the power outage, the blackout that happened over in Europe. Okay, in Spain, and just talk about the impact that it has. When we look at these things, scriptures tell us to measure the times diligently within itself. All right, to give us an idea of what time, what prophecy, where we're at, how to measure what's going on, and we know we're close to the end. These type of events that take place are a measuring tool, so to speak. And the events that are happening, and whether it's in Babylon the Great or globally, we came out of the pandemic a few years ago. We had in news about whether it was the CBDCs happening. We got wars and rumors of wars. We got all this information about, the micro C-HIP, all these updated news, all of this updated information. You got power outages and blackouts. You got drone sightings. You got so-called drone sightings, okay? Chariot sightings. It's so much happening through the spirit, man. And it's exciting times that we're in. Okay, so when we see news like this, it's even more exciting, okay? Now, one may tend to think that, we sound crazy for what sounds to be like dark times that we're excited about, and these dark events that are happening that we're excited about. But, the truth of the matter is that, we know things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. And when I say get better, I mean, for the kingdom of heaven to be ushered in, okay, for our salvation, for our rest, for our comfort, the things that our spirits are calling for in these times. There's a lot of things that are weighing heavy on the minds and the spirits of the men of the Lord. And men are going through tough times. There's a lot of struggles that brothers go through, and with the understanding, it gives us more incentive to want to get out of here, to want to be delivered from these bodies, from this world, from Esau, from Babylon, from these curses, and to go into full rest mode. The average person in Babylon, in America, they don't understand. They don't have the understanding. They don't have the understanding of what it's truly going to look like or feel like or sound like to be at rest. Okay, we don't have the full understanding either, but we don't have the full feeling, right? But we have the understanding, and that's what makes it that's what makes it urgent for us. There's a sense of urgency with the men of the Lord when it comes to deliverance and making sense of this world. And I think that says a lot. I think that's a big part of it. Making sense of the hell that this world. You look at the world. This world is it's a suffering place. And most people, all they can do is just reiterate those words. All they can do is repeat that. World's going mad. This is the world is evil. People can say that, but without understanding, it's pointless. All right. So, I actually, I just thought of a precept. I know it's in Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 18, we highlight it. It says, "For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow." And I wanted to, that came to mind because, again, as men of the Lord, as we increase in our understanding, as we increase in the knowledge and what we're in this world, this captivity, Esau, when we understand who he is, when we understand who we are, when we understand our power, when we understand the world to come, we increase in sorrow, man, because we're asking, we're begging, earnestly begging the Lord to deliver us from this place. All right. When you don't know, when you don't have the knowledge of what's to come, you kind of just settle in. You settle into captivity. You settle into your destruction, so to speak. And we have the knowledge, we have the understanding of salvation, of deliverance, of peace, of rest, of comfort, and it increases our sorrow because our spirits are yearning for it more and more and more and more. So yeah, man. So we're calling on the Lord to get us out of here. But let's jump into this article. This is from BBC.com. It says Spain will take all necessary measures to prevent another blackout, says PM, the Prime Minister. Now, if you've kind of been on the rock somewhere, there was a blackout out there in Spain, which caused a lot of chaos. Okay. Shit almost it's intense out there right now, but there's levels, right? There's a lot of panic, there's a lot of uncertainty when things like this happen, when a blackout happens. But this is just like a phase of it, right? And the level. And I believe to a degree they've restored some of the power, restored some of the systems that are in place that allow society to run and function smoothly. But this is an example of what we can expect here in America and Babylon the Great, and what the comforts that are provided here in America and Babylon the Great. People aren't used to anything like that. People in general, no matter where you're at, really not used to this kind of stuff. It's not common. It's not something that happens every day. People are used to their routine. People are used to, going about their day and doing things fairly normal. But when something like this happens, it could really change your perspective, your outlook. If it happens to you, if you see it, if you experience it, it could change your perspective and just make you more aware. So it says here, here's a summary of what happens. It says Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez says all necessary measures will be taken to prevent another power outage. It says electrical grids suffered 2 disconnection events. So the electrical grids got disconnected, which triggered the blackouts. It says electrical grids suffered 2 disconnection events, and the second triggered the mass blackouts in Spain and Portugal with no indication of human error. Okay. So trying to figure out, what happened and how it happened. It says Spanish power company Red Electrica and Portuguese government have ruled out a cyber attack, right? And they ruled out a cyber attack probably because they don't want to cause, major, even more panic. When you tell the people the truth, there's so many lies and deceptions that governments and officials have to put out for the people, just as for answers. They do it in a certain kind of way where they want to always control the narrative. They want to always make it seem like they got things under control, so things don't get crazier than what they want. Now, at some point, they're going to orchestrate the all-out chaos. They want it to hit the fan. They want all hell to break loose. Okay, but again, there's phases to that, right? And we're experiencing some of the phases to the hell that's going to break loose. All right. It says power has now been fully restored in Spain and Portugal after millions were left without power on Monday, but disruption continues. It says from the friends enjoying beers to candlelight to the couple stranded for 11 hours on a train. Here's a look at the stories on the blackout. So, there's all phases and all elements of society are disrupted when you have a power outage. Okay, when the grid goes down. There's a little bit of a video here. I'm going to play it, and I got some scriptures and some points I want to make.
This is Atocha station in the heart of Madrid. It's the capital's biggest train station, and just to give you a sense of what's going on here, you can see really big queues people looking up at the information board there, some services are leaving, but we're seeing that platforms are being changed at the last minute, so it's really difficult for all these travellers. Overnight, they endured a miserable time. People slept here on the hard floor because they couldn't find hotels nearby. They were talking about a lack of water, a lack of food. The reason they couldn't get accommodation is that some places were full, or they'd closed, or simply their payment systems weren't working and people didn't have enough cash. So it's been a real problem, this. And this sort of scene is replicated in other parts of Spain as well, also in Portugal. So when the authorities say that the power is coming back, and in some places it's 99% or getting back to 100%, that doesn't tell the full story of the disruption of this massive outage that affected so many millions of people.
And one thing that stood out to what he said was, with the power outage, what did it affect mostly? Payment systems. Okay. Which is when you think about the impact or the effect that will have on, people trying to get from one place to another, buy food, water, just any supplies that they may need. No power, no power, no payment system. You don't get what you need. Okay. And that could cause so much panic within itself. Not being able to get back home, wherever you are, will get back to your kids, get back to your family, get back to your loved ones. The type of panic and chaos that could cause, we're seeing small glimpses of it. All right. And one of the first scriptures that I thought of, let me just get it real quick. When this happened, is because it could go to quote Drake, Drizzy Drake, it goes from 0 to 100, nigga, real quick. Right? Real quick. All right? Because you could go from going about your day, everything normal, everything good, to absolute chaos. All right? It could go from, regular going about doing what you got to do, work, home, everything good, to the grid going down, and then things change. Boom, snap of a finger. All right, 1 Thessalonians 5:3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with a child, and they shall not escape. All right, so soon as you could be chilling, it could be peaceful, it could be, you could feel safe, you could be just going about your day, and then just like that, sudden destruction happens. And that's what we're expecting in society. We're expecting society to fully collapse, not just in a way where a power outage goes down, but like fully, where not only does the grid go down and you can't make payments, but to the point where your payments don't even have any value. The money doesn't have any value. The systems that are around you, the authorities aren't relevant. Okay. There's you can't make it to the hospital. You can't, get food or supplies. The store shelves are empty. Like we're talking about full collapse. Okay. That's why it says, sudden destruction come upon them as travail upon a woman with a child, and they shall not escape. Right. But it says, verse 4, but ye brethren are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Okay. And that's what being in his faith, and why it's so important serving Yahawashi, putting on that spirit of repentance, so the Lord, give you that light, give you that light to see, because it says, but ye brethren are not in darkness. Why? Because through the power of spirit Yahawashi, that light has been given to us. Okay, to see through this darkness, to see through, the things that are taking place, that have taken place, that are currently taking place, and that will take place. All right, the eyes to see and ears to hear, the eye salve. Okay, and that's, we know the expectation is this thing to fully collapse. Okay, and then for them to revive the system under the MOTB. Okay, that's the expectation. That's what we're looking at here. Okay. It says back in the article, as life begins to turn normal in Spain and Portugal, question still remains about what caused yesterday's widespread power outage. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said the government will consider all possible hypotheses. In an update earlier today, the Portuguese government and Spain's power grid have ruled out a power attack, a cyber attack. Not much I really wanted to read with this. You know, but the point is, you know, just bringing light to what happened, man. You know, and this ain't no small matter. You know, this is something that we're going to expect here in Babylon the Great. Okay, because we're looking for this place to collapse. We're looking for the end. That's the time that we're in. We're in the time of Babylon and Esau's collapse. You know, we have no continuing city here in Babylon. All right, which is evident by these recent events. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, all the prophetic events that have taken place throughout the years, man. All right, going back to C19 and even before that, right? But you know, things really took a turn during C19. So even if you just start at that point, you know what I'm saying, and think about all the crazy stuff that has happened, all these prophetic events that have happened, your conclusion is just, look, the stage is set. All right, the stage is set. Esau's rulership, his power structure is at its very end. Okay, and these type of events could lead to lockdowns, concentration camps, detention centers. I was watching a live from the elder apostle Aram Lab and the elder brother Kanak from San Francisco camp, and man, they was going in. You know, and they was talking about how Esau is setting up the legal infrastructure through their laws to legally detain you. Okay, and they're gonna come up with all types of justifications for that to happen. You know, whether it's a power grid or whether it's, you know, any type of calamity or another pandemic, right? If you are considered a domestic, I don't want to really use the word, but a domestic threat, so to speak. I don't want to use the T word, because that's how your video gets flagged. But you know, if you're speaking up against the government and they see you as a threat or the enemy of the state, they're going to have the legal infrastructure in place to detain you. Okay, detention centers, concentration camps, all different types of lockdowns and martial law and draconian measures that Esau Edom will implement into society. All right, this is what this world has to look forward to. All right, because that's Esau, that's his rulership, that's how he operates. All right, this is the book of Isaiah, and the scriptures tell us, man. So you know, we know what this man is about. We know what Esau is about. We know his plan. Ultimately, Isaiah 10:1 says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed." Again, so they're setting up, and they've been doing this on all different types of levels, right? The laws that they have set up now are designed to keep mainly you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans oppressed. Okay, to keep you jailed and locked up in their system, getting that free labor. Okay, mentally, physically, and spiritually breaking you. Okay, continuing to, you know, push the narrative and the vibration that you're beneath them, you're inferior to them. All right, that's a big part of what this is about. All right, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. So the infrastructure is in place. All right, the draconian measures are in place and will continue even at a heightened level to be set up. This is the book of Psalms 94:20. All right, it says, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?" Okay, and that's Esau. He's going to frame mischief by law. He's going to put laws into place to continue to justify being a demon, right? And locking you up and detaining you and torturing you, because that's our expectation. Now, Esau's not going to take it easy, especially on the men of the Lord. You know, if we were to get grabbed up and brought, you know, into their courts and their systems and be detained by them, you know, we're expecting the worst. All right. It says they gather themselves together against the souls of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. The souls of the righteous are mainly the men of the Lord, the elect. But we have Yahawashi on our side to get us through. It says, but the Lord Yahawashi is my defense, and the Most High is my rock of refuge. Right. So when during that time we have the strong tower. We have the names of Yahawashi to lean on to get us through. Okay, because this man is going to come down with great wrath, as it says in Revelation 12:12. Okay, Esau has nothing good planned for you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, namely those of Yahawashi, who are pushing and prophesying against many kingdoms. Okay, prophesying the end of his rulership, prophesying the end of his infrastructure, his power structure. All right, I'm going to close out with this. Isaiah 32:7. It says, the instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor, and with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. Right. So Esau is against everything that's right. Anything or anyone or any system that speaketh right, Esau, I have the wicked devices to destroy them. Okay. So he has all the, because he has the power. Right. So he has the power. He has the instruments. Okay. To create all these wicked devices and all these wicked systems and all the, set the narrative and push, their rulership and their power all over the people. All right. And this is what we have to look forward to. More and more and more of Esau is evil and wicked until the Heavenly Father Yahawah sends his only begotten son Yahawashi to put a final end to this man's rulership. Okay. And deliver the Lord's elect. Okay. And burn Babylon to the ground, because that's what this place deserves. That's what Esau deserves. Okay. That's what these nations and all of the evil, even include 2/3 of our own people, you deserve destruction. And the Lord is going to bring it. All right, so with that, I hope you were edified. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahawashi, by Hashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elder bishops, the great Millstone, who rule well. Peace and salutation to the elect. Shalom.